Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to the Frontline with Joe and Joe Pasillo and Joe Rossinello. And once more, let us go into the breach. Joe, I'm growing tired. I really am. I'm growing tired of so-called conservatives. Okay, because I don't know, Joe. I don't know for the life of me what we're conserving. Okay. Here, let's be clear to our audience here at the Frontline with Joe and Joe. Joe, I believe in markets. Do you believe in markets?
Sure.
Do you believe that capitalism has raised more people out of poverty than any other economic system in the history of mankind?
Absolutely.
I think that it's demonstrable statistically. We live in a country where even those who are what you would call working poor have it better than the vast majority of the world. That's because they're able to go out and earn a living. Do I want their condition to get better? Of course. Are there needs? Are there always needs for improvement? Yes, there is. Okay, we can always make a human creation, and our economic system is not blessed by God. All you people out there who think that it's a divine institution, it's not. We created it. Okay, that means it could be tweaked. That means it's probably flawed because those who are creating the system are flawed human beings. One thing I will not do, Joe Rossinello, I will not. Okay, is I will not bend the knee to the free market. Free market sometimes could be wrong. Corporations could be wrong. Sometimes government action is necessary. Well, let's listen to this nauseating drivel from a woman who I've stated clearly, Joe, I promise you, if it's between her and Bernie Sanders, okay, I'm staying home. I'm not voting. I'm not voting for Nikki Haley. And throw Mike Pence on there too. I'm not voting for either one. Let me give you an example of why.
Haley, I want to ask you about what could be another Republican candidate in the field, and that is Ron DeSantis. We just learned a few moments ago that Disney is now suing the Florida governor for alleging political effort to hurt their business. We've all been watching this back and forth for quite some time. This is obviously dramatically escalating the feud between Disney and Ron DeSantis. They're alleging that the Republican governor has waged a, quote, relentless campaign to weaponize government power over the company. What is your reaction to that, as we still have yet to see him jump officially into the race?
You know, as governor, I took a double-digit unemployment state and I turned it into an economic powerhouse. Businesses were my partners, because if you take care of your businesses, you take care of your economy takes care of the people, and everyone wins. And so that's the way we dealt with it. South Carolina was a very anti-woke state. It still is. And if Disney would like to move their hundreds of thousands of jobs to South Carolina and bring the billions of dollars with them, I'll let them know. I'll be happy to meet them in South Carolina and introduce them to the governor and the legislature that would.
Joe, I had to cut her off, because when it comes down to it, to me, she is completely the problem with the conservative movement on the economic front, and yeah, even in the culture war. Okay, you need to crush Disney, Nikki. You need to back DeSantis's play. You're going to hope that the courts side with him, because if the government is not allowed to get involved with Disney, and they say, well, it's retribution against Disney. Well, why did Disney get involved in the politics of the state in the first place? You see, Disney or businesses can't just do what they want. But then when there's a reaction from the state, they say, oh, no, you can't do that. She's the problem. She's the problem in the conservative movement. Because what they don't do is come together and say to Disney as a movement, say, I'm a conservative governor of a conservative state. We're anti-woke. I'm sorry, we're going to side with Governor DeSantis. And until you apologize for what you did, until you're truly an open company and you don't discriminate against your own employees who are against the woke agenda, if you don't take the woke agenda out of your business, okay, and stop promoting this rainbow crap to kids, okay, we're not going to do business with you either. She didn't do that. Why? Because they bow at the altar of the free market. That's the problem with American capitalism, is people like Nikki Haley and Sean Hannity and others, they bow at the altar of the free market. That's their mistake.
I would agree. I mean, I think that's a mistake of the Republican Party. They have to shed that. Point number one. But point two, Joe, this is a calculated decision. She's trying to separate herself from Ron DeSantis. This is a calculated political strategy. Ron DeSantis, sanctimonious, is choosing one route. We have values over, like, say, commerce. There are values here. And this is not a value that comports with the American idea of basically family life. She is trying to say, I'm different from him. And
Right.
to be honest with you, whether she agrees with it or not, it's a strategy. And if you ask me, it's wrong. I'm not saying the strategy, her approach. Business comes second. I'm going to say it. God, family, country. We have to get back to that. You want to build, you want to like fight for the long term. You want to build a society. God, family, country. That's how you do it. Disney right now is anti-family. Oh, how are they? Listen, I have a father of 5. I have Disney. I had it. I blocked it on television. I don't want my kids seeing some of these things. They're kids. And I am not alone in that. Many Democrats feel the same way. It's anti-family. And I simply don't contribute to the coffers of Disney as a result of it. She says that's not important. What's important is the business. It trumps that. Ultimately, you're undoing your state. Ultimately, we're undoing our country when we don't foster strong family life.
No, you're absolutely right, Joe. You're absolutely right. I do want to show this though, real quick. Okay. This is an example of what we're talking about. This is from a couple of years ago, and I remember we did a video on this a while, but I think it pertains to this conversation. This is the end of the Tucker Carlson show one night. This was the day, by the way, that Jeff, just to give you context out there listening to us at the front line with Joe and Joe, this was the day that because of the increase in Amazon stock, Jeff Bezos' net worth increased by $13 billion. Okay. Now, you're not going to find two guys here that are going to begrudge anybody for making money. But I think Tucker rightfully said that is obscene. When we have people suffering and somebody who's worth over $100 billion has their net worth increase by $13 billion in one day, there is something, Joe Resinello, obscene about that. So, but what I want the audience to notice, and then Joe, I want your comments when we come back. It's only a 30-second clip. Watch what Sean Hannity says in response and look at Tucker's face.
Sean Hannity takes over from New York.
People can make money. They provide goods and services people want, need, and desire. That's America. It's called freedom, capitalism, and as long as it's honest, right? People decide. All right, Tucker, great show.
Do you see that response, Joe Resinello? Do you hear Sean Hannity's response? People make money. We're not talking about people making money. How many people, Joe, do you know growing up, they made money in their business, whether it was the baker, whether it was your father in the barbershop, okay, making money. All right, nobody had a problem with that. We're talking about we have a situation where because of the system, and I think it's because of a lot of crony capitalism, you have people getting super duper uber wealthy, okay? And I don't know what the solution is, but I don't think Jeff Bezos increasing his net worth by $13 billion in one day is a good thing. And you heard Hannity's response. Well, you do it honestly, provide a good service, make all the money you want. No, Sean Hannity. That's why he's no longer Catholic, by the way. That's one of the main reasons he's no longer Catholic, that he left the Catholic Church, because he doesn't like the idea that the church will say, you could get wealthy, but there's a limit. And I think that a lot of these people who bend their knee to the free market, Joe Resinello, I don't think they believe in limits on the market. I really don't.
Well, this is the problem with Republicans. They have to shed that country club image, and Sean Hannity embraces it. That's the problem. But just to couch a couple of your statements, there's nothing wrong with money, but with money comes responsibility. The problem with Jeff Bezos during the pandemic is the government picked winners and losers, and those winners got wealthy, and some people lost their businesses. Ultimately, if one is to make money in a society where people are properly formed, capitalism with moral boundaries, how do you do that? You have strong families where the family teaches their children the golden rule. Can I say that? Do unto others as you want them to do to you. I say that in my house all the time to my kids. Do you want to be treated like that? So don't treat your sibling like that. But also, if you are fortunate enough, and if you're formed, i.e. through a religion, we'll just use that, a general statement, the golden rule, you will take care of other people if you're fortunate enough to make lots of money. Because ultimately, we are going to be judged. And ultimately, if you don't think of the community, you don't think of anyone but yourself, you're not going to fare well under that model. And also the society doesn't fare well. The society, if you're blessed enough to make a lot of money, ultimately that has a responsibility. And that's what Republicans like Sean Hannity and many Republicans don't get. They have to shed that image. They have to embrace the worker a little bit more. And if they did, Joe, to quote you, they would never lose.
No, I agree. I think one of the main things to recognize here is we have to look at the way the movement of ideas is going right now. There are many people in ideological camps, not here at the front line with Joe and Joe. We're not ideologues. One of the things that I think we need to point out about what I perceive to be, it's going to be a new kind of conservatism or conservative republicanism. What they're going to promote is what Sean Hannity is doing in there. You leave us alone on it. And now it's basically libertarian, but it'll have some differences. You leave us alone on economic issues. We're going to still fight you on abortion and woke agenda and everything else, but we're just going to be a little less vocal about it. We're going to be a little bit more compromising about it. Look at that clip when we showed Nikki Haley. What was the banner underneath? It said Asa Hutchinson said he will sign a 15-week abortion ban. Joe, that's conservatism now. A 15-week abortion ban is considered conservatism, not pro-life. Okay, not anti-abortion. Well, we'll do 15 weeks because it's more palatable politically. That is the conservative republicanism that you and I can expect moving forward. And unless we have somebody who's going to buck that trend, I don't care if it's Trump, I don't care if it's DeSantis. I said before, it's not going to be Nikki Haley, it's not going to be Mike Pence. Okay, but if somebody's going to take up our mantle, which is capitalism with boundaries, and focus on fighting this woke agenda, which is truly destructive to our culture and society. All right. Unless we find that person, I think we're toast because the left and the right are just going to go like this, Joe. One side's going to leave the other side alone so that one side can make money and the other side can redefine reality however it wants to.
It's a shame. To be honest with you, you can't build a house on sand, and that's what they're trying to do. We're undermining our nation with these ideas. We are. And the proof's in the pudding. People are a wreck, Joe. Yeah. It's none of these ideas, particularly the social re-engineering that is being put forth in our society, is working. High suicide rates amongst kids, high drug abuse. All these kids, they're self-medicating. Families broken apart. It's not working.
Right.
And they refuse to acknowledge it. And they refuse to acknowledge it. I say it all the time. It's not working.
Yes.
And ultimately, if we continue down this road, our country is going to turn into, if it's not already, a wasteland. It's
Joe, let me ask you a question.
Mad Max.
Who really is more realistic? Remember when we were talking about Disney? Remember when one of their executives says, I have 5 kids and one's gay or two's gay, 2 are pansexual, one's transgender. This woman is going to hell. I'm sorry to say it like that because she's allowing the corruption to come into her family and she's out there bragging that her kids are disordered. Okay. But here's my question. Is she the future of America? This is a woman who's probably sexually liberated or was. That's why she got to the level she was within the Disney Corporation. She probably makes buku bucks, okay? And her attitude is very simple. My kids could be whatever they want. And if that means my boy could be a girl, my girl could be a boy, or my son's gay, or my daughter's a lesbian, or whatever the case, or my one daughter's pansexual, which means she just wants to go out and bang everything in sight. Well, I guess that is one... That is one part of our future is we have to deal with people like that. And I think conservatives, unfortunately, Joe, they're going to say, well, hey, listen, that's what she wants for her life. There's nothing to fight against. I think that there's everything to fight against there.
Well, you hear that, or who am I to judge? But what I'll say is this, that will not build a healthy and solid society. Sorry, people, the proof's in the pudding. It doesn't build healthy people.
Quick question. Along the lines of healthy people, when 2 of her 5 kids who are disordered, who need help, they need psychological treatment, hang themselves at 40 years old, okay, and she's alive to see it, is she still going to embrace that agenda?
Well, that's
or is she just going to blame people like us?
Story for another day, because ultimately every action has a reaction, and that's the story of many people's lives, learning through tragedy. All I will say is this: you can't build a house on sand. These ideas they aren't now, and they're not going to translate into a society that is strong. And I'm not talking about militarily strong.
Right.
I'm talking about basically sound,
morally
strong. And it's not going to happen.
You're
and
right.
Joe, and they refuse, because what it is, it comes down to this. They'll say, you're religious. Well, I am, but I'm going to tell you this. Certain values, we'll just use that phrase, translate into healthy and strong people. A mom and a dad in a family who love each other. I'm going to tell you this, that has worked for millennia. Millennia. It works. A belief in a higher power which governs your actions and anchors you. It works. People are a boat on an ocean, just drifting into this idea and that idea to their own demise. And it's happening. And it's only going to get worse. Oh, you're just the doomsday guy. You're pessimistic. No,
we go look out the window.
That's right. Look out the window.
Oh, no, no, what they'll say is, I did look out the window, and I don't mind what I see.
Well, again, talk to me in 50 years. Talk to me in 50 years.
I think the appeal for us, Joe, to people has to be this. Okay, we understand we're Catholic. We come from an individual religious point of view. Okay, we believe it's the correct point of view. But how about this? There's religion and the order and rationality and the reason of religion and how we apply it in society to have a more vibrant society, human prosperity, human thriving. And then there's logos, which religion gets you to heaven, okay? The Catholic faith, we believe that. We'll always say that. I'm not going to back away from that. But there's logos. Are you a person that believes in order? Because that's what logos is. Okay, you don't believe in the logos incarnate in Jesus Christ, but do you believe that there's an order to the universe? There's an order to society. There's an order to human sexuality. There's a rationality to it. No, do you believe that? No, that's what I would ask people. All right, you're not religious. Okay, I wish you were. But you're not. Okay, but do you believe in order? And I think most people would recognize, well, yeah, my son's my son. My son's not my daughter. And even people who are not religious. I know atheists who are like that. They believe in logos. They believe in order and rationality. Okay, they don't believe in religion. They don't go for a lot of this nonsense either. And that's the way I would argue with people. This is a breakdown of the social order. And I think we would say that because it's being perpetrated primarily by the left, even though in this case, we got a couple of Republican bad guys, primarily by the left. I think it's deliberate. I'm going to give you the final word, Joe.
Again, I'm just going to repeat it's not going to work. It's not working. You tell a tree by the fruit it bears. And you could rationalize that consequence as much as you want. Something that's rotten is rotten. Our society isn't healthy. It's not.
Right.
These ideas aren't working, and we're doubling and tripling down on them. And you could deny reality all you want. It doesn't change the fact what is. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't work. Period. I don't know what else to say.
You're right. And I'm not going to vote for any Republicans that are going to go along with this agenda, from abortion to transgenderism to homosexuality to all of it. I'm not going along with it. I'm not. No, I understand there are certain trade-offs. Okay. I get it. But there's some that we're not going to compromise on. And Nikki Haley, like I said, and Mike Pence ain't voting for him. If Sean Hannity was running for president, ain't voting for him. Don't really care. I'll stay home because the country's going to be doomed either way. Any Republicans like that get elected, Joe, the country's doomed either way because it's really going to be no different than the Democrats. So thanks for listening to us at the Frontline with Joe and Joe. Great conversation with Joe Pasillo, Joe Rossinello. Wherever you see us, please, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, hit a button, like, subscribe, share, do all that fun stuff. Help us out. We'll see you next time.